The U.S. Constitution, it provides plenty of guarantees of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There are very specific guarantees that keep government out of your backyard. But on a day-to-day basis, how does this work? Well, that takes us to this week's case. It involves a group of young men. They were in a vehicle, and the driver of the vehicle was doing some things that probably weren't the brightest thing in the world to be doing. They were stopped by an officer. The officer then asked for the identification of everybody in the vehicle. Turns out the passenger sitting in the front seat, when he gave him his identification, had a warrant out for his arrest. The officer, when he got the identification, looked at it. He was on the radio to someone that could immediately bring up warrants that were outstanding, said, "You've got a warrant outstanding. My friend, you need to get out of the vehicle," and he arrested him. Well, when the case went to trial, his lawyers said, well, that was an unlawful search and seizure. Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects against unlawful, unreasonable searches and seizures. Well, was this unreasonable? They argued, well, it's unreasonable to ask for the identification of a passenger in an automobile when you stop the car because of what the driver was doing. The passenger was doing nothing. He was simply sitting there, and then you began to ask for his identification. For no reason whatsoever. Why should you ask for his identification? Well, the court heard this. And it was a federal case, heard in federal court, went up to the First Circuit Court of Appeals, all the way along. Basically what the court said was something very simple. It is, in fact, reasonable to ask for the identification of someone who is sitting in a vehicle which was behaving very erratically, because you didn't know what these guys were all about. And all it was simply asking for identification. And when he got the identification, the arresting officer was on the phone, was on the radio, with someone who was able to immediately access the outstanding warrants, got the outstanding warrant, and said, "Friend, you are under arrest." In view of that, he wasn't subjected to any unreasonable detention, and simply asking for his identification was most reasonable. In view of that, the court said, hey, this was a reasonable, in fact, search by virtue of the fact he was asked to produce his identification, and since it was reasonable, well, my friend, you don't keep it out, and he, in fact, was properly arrested. Okay. We bring you this information, as we bring you information every week, so you understand how the law actually works in real life situations, because you live a real life and you know how the law really affects you. I'm David Allen.